What if I told you money doesn't really exist? That the paper in your wallet or the digits in your bank app, they read just a story we all agreed to believe. Welcome to the strange and fascinating world of money, a human invention that has shaped history, empires, and everyday life. In this video, we're diving deep into what money really is, where it came from, and why it rules everything around us. Long before coins or currency, humans traded what they had for what they needed. It was called bartering. You give me your goat, I give you my grain. But bartering had a problem. It only worked if both people wanted what the other had. This was called the double coincidence of wants, and it was super inefficient. So humans invented something better: money. But not money like we know it today. The first forms of money were commodity money, things that had intrinsic value. Think salt, cattle, shells, or even cocoa beans. In ancient Rome, soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, which is where the word salary comes from. Eventually, metal coins became the standard: durable, portable, and easy to measure. The first known coins were minted around 600 BCE in Lydia, modern-day Turkey, made of electrum, a natural mix of gold and silver. Coins worked well for centuries, but as economies grew, coins became heavy and hard to move. That's when paper money was born. First in China during the Tang Dynasty, around the 7th century. By the time Europe adopted banknotes, it was already old news in Asia. But here's the thing, money isn't backed by gold anymore. For most of the 20th century, many countries followed the gold standard. That meant their money was directly tied to a reserve of gold. That changed in 1971 when US President Richard Nixon ended gold convertibility. Since then, most currencies have been fiat money, backed by government decree, not physical assets. That means the money in your hand has no intrinsic value. It's valuable because we all agree it is. To function, money needs to fulfill three key roles: medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value. If it does all three, it's considered money. But here's where it gets interesting. Lots of things have been used as money, from giant stone discs in Micronesia to cigarettes in prison. Even in digital video games, people assign real-world value to virtual currencies. So maybe money isn't a thing. Maybe it's just trust in a system. Fast forward to today. Most of the money in the world doesn't even exist physically. Over 90% of global currency is digital, just numbers on screens. When you swipe your card, send a wire, or use Apple Pay, no cash is moving, just data. And now we have cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others, which challenge the very definition of money. These are decentralized, not controlled by any government, and based on blockchain technology, a public, tamper-proof ledger. Bitcoin was born in 2009 after the financial crisis, created by an anonymous figure named Satoshi Nakamoto. Its purpose? To create a form of money that couldn't be manipulated by banks or inflation. Whether you love it or hate it, crypto has forced the world to reimagine what money can be. Money doesn't just buy things. It buys power, access, and influence. It funds elections, moves markets, and often determines who wins and who loses in life. In fact, 1% of the world's population owns nearly half the world's wealth. Banks, governments, and corporations don't just use money. They control its flow. Ever wonder why inflation exists? Or why interest rates rise and fall? That's central banks like the Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank adjusting the economy, usually by printing more money or changing borrowing costs. But printing too much money can lead to hyperinflation. That's when money loses value at an extreme rate. Think Zimbabwe in the 2000s or Venezuela more recently, where people needed wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. Money is also deeply psychological. It triggers emotions, fear, greed, anxiety, even happiness. People kill for it. They dream of it. They lose sleep over it. Studies show that after a certain point, around $75,000 a year, more money doesn't make people much happier. So why do we chase it endlessly? Because money represents more than value. It's safety, it's freedom, it's social status. For some, it's even identity. So what's next? Central banks are now exploring CBDCs, central bank, digital currencies, which would be like digital cash issued by governments. Some countries like China have already rolled out versions of it. Will physical money disappear? Will crypto take over? Will I run the economy? We don't know, but what's clear is this: money keeps evolving. And as it changes, so does everything around it, from how we live to what we value to how we define success. So the next time you look at a coin, a dollar bill, or a balance on your phone, remember, you're not just looking at currency. You're looking at a centuries-old story of trust, value, and belief. Because in the end, money isn't real, but it still controls the realest parts of our lives. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of money, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment below. What is the weirdest thing you've ever used as money? Stay curious and stay wealthy, in knowledge if not yet in cash.